Hello everyone, welcome. Hope you're all doing okay today, and thank you for joining me. So, as the stream title suggests, today's not going to be our usual stream. We're going to be discussing the lore, of course, that is quite usual, but the lore of Dark Souls 1, because why not? I'm working on something. I thought instead of me just doing this by myself, capturing footage, playing through the game, thinking out loud, why don't I just stream it? So you get a bit of a window into how I do things, my work process on the videos. Won't be capturing footage per se, but this is recorded. We're just going to be taking mental notes. And the mic is a bit quiet, I agree. Maybe let me boost it up. What about that? Go a bit further? Maybe the gain is increasing. Okay, a bit higher. Louder. Louder. Gain's going up. Going up some more. Let's keep going. There we go. I think that is a good position. There we go. Again, when we get into the game, you're going to have to let me know if the game now needs adjusting or not. So as I was saying, bear in mind this music is pretty loud as well, like it's not. My drums burst, I can take the rest of the day. This music isn't quiet either, it's about set midway, so it's designed to be loud. I've lost track. Yeah, so I'm going to be taking notes. And we're going to be returning to my favourite game in the whole world. Elden Ring. No, I'm joking. Dark Souls 1. There we go. Beautiful. You know what I love about the Dark Souls menu? Is it's not loud. It just lets you enjoy it. Silent. Only until creating a character do you get hit with the music. None of this. Da da boom 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 da da. Jesus, calm down. You know what I mean? But I suppose that started with Dark Souls 3, because Dark Souls 3 is a bit extreme title music. Bloodborne was still chill. You know what I mean? Bloodborne, oof, what a special game. Hopefully I'll have a capture card by then, because I do want to make a new character to do those October streams, to get in the mood of Halloween. Just play Bloodborne, stream a bit of a lore through for the month of Bloodborne. You know, if we don't get to finish it, then it's whatever. For those of you who were OGs to the channel, Yorveth, you may remember. And again, those who are now channel members, you'll have access to this. I did do a October Halloween-ish streams of Bloodborne, but it was from the PS5, and the PS5 isn't the best from streaming. Even with good internet, the quality still bounces left to right. You know, if you don't have a software like OBS, although I do shit on it, it does allow you to really fine tune your gonna custom build then, but your setup. There you go. You know what I mean? Yeah, the music's good. But don't get me wrong, the Elden Ring music's good. It's just not, for me, the right title music. But we spoke about this in the lore through. I said that people are trying to categorize Elden Ring and say, what is it about? What is it trying to make you feel? Dark Souls is that. It's dark, it's oppressive. It's oppressive, it's depressing, right? It's heavy. Heavy is the weight of man. The dregs that go down to the deep. And then Demon Souls is kind of the same thing, but more about despair, hopelessness, this suffocating fog, just unmatched parallels, demons walking amongst men. And you, a mere human, are expected to defeat them and uproot them from their conquest. Bloodborne is just fucking Looney Tunes on crack, right? So Bloodborne is just off the walls. You can't really categorize that. It's beautiful. And Elden Ring is epic. That's what it tries to be. It's an epic game. It's an epic tale. It's an epic journey. An epic experience. The best experience for an open world that you will get. So that's what I think they're trying to emulate in the title screen. Like, I get it. I just want to chill out though. Please, game. I just want to relax to Elden Ring. So that's my excuse for the title screen anyway. Where would I rank Elden Ring in terms of Soulsborne games? Well, most of you probably already know what I'm going to say. And for me, it is second from bottom for myself. Dark Souls 3 being the bottom of the Souls games, not my games of all time, of the Souls games. So that's why I hold it, or am more critical of it, because I know and have experienced what came before when it was new, not years after the fact. So yeah, same goes with Dark Souls 3. But Dark Souls 3, it did have a rough development, like all those games that released within a 3-year span did. Dark Souls 2, Bloodborne, Dark Souls 3, they all suffered. Such a huge undertaking, and yeah. Oh, Skept. I respect it, but DS3, tut. We gotta give you some something a bit different. You're gonna run out of Kool-Aid, sir. But DS1 is in third. I respect that. As long as it's in your top 3, DS1, then I respect you. Because without DS1, we wouldn't be here. Without Demon Souls, we wouldn't be here. But without DS1, we wouldn't be here. Do you feel me? Do you get me? Without Dark Souls 1, we wouldn't be here. To quote that video that I can't remember, 10 years ago, every game wanted to be like Dark Souls. Now Dark Souls, i.e. Elden Ring, wants to be like every other game. It's my least favourite from what I've played. Willie, I'm going to use this word that I don't like really using, but based and red-pilled. I'm going to use 2 words I don't really like using. Respect. That's what we need. No, we need more people just to come out and go, you know what, Elden Ring's not my favourite, and not be afraid of it, because unfortunately there are rampant From Software apologists, and they cannot allow any criticism from the big M and From as a whole, and it gets in the way of progress, of healthy discussions, because again, we've all seen where this leads us to. CDPR. If you keep blowing smoke up their arse, they're going to eventually believe it themselves, take risks that they shouldn't necessarily have done, and then shit out a poor product that lets everybody down. The bosses in DS3 are very good. They are some of the best in the series. But Dark Souls 3 is where From started to cater more to boss fights in general. Their games have definitely, for me, turned in a way where it's more of a boss experience rather than an exploration experience, rather than just an experience as a whole. Everything, especially Dark Souls 3, very linear. It's just trying to get you to the boss. Dark Souls 3. Yes, it lets you detour for about 2 seconds before shoving you back on the main path. But you know, in the previous games, I feel like the world itself was allowed to breathe, and then you were like, oh shit, yeah, I've got a boss at the end of this. I've gone through so much shit. I now just remembered there is actually a boss at the end of this level. Like Demon's Souls especially, because, as I said, for me, that is the most realistic and realised world that they've created. Like, it is video game, of course, because it's a video game. It has to have some of that design aspect to it, where it's like, okay, this doesn't really make sense, but it is a video game, and I have to be challenged. But as a whole, I can really immerse myself, even in Laptia. It's just great. Sicarius, welcome. Anyway, instead of waffling on, let's do what I was supposed to be doing. And that is talking about the lore. So today, we're going to be discussing Pyromancy and Pyromancers. Again, for those who just tuned in, this is for an upcoming lore video that I'm going to make. I'm currently in the script/note section of production. So when it's out, it's out. When it's ready, all that. My videos don't have a release schedule. They're ready when they're ready. And yeah, I've learned a lot of things, especially not to stress myself out too much and push myself. Just let things happen. So yeah, it's ready when it's ready. So I'm going to be taking notes, but not as much as I probably should, because this is recorded. So I can just come back to the VOD and then write notes in another time, tomorrow perhaps. New follow, Skelly Man. Skelly, thank you very much. If everyone could please check out Skelly. Actually, I don't think you follow him, Alex. I'll post the Twitter in the chat if my one monitor setup will allow me to. Just got to find the chap. Skelly's also a lover of the Claymore, so he has my utmost respect. Claymore is Baymore. Yes, I want to copy the link. God. There we go. Boom. There's Skelly Man's Twitter, everyone. Go follow. Welcome, Skell. Thanks for popping in. Hope my monotone voice doesn't bore you too much. So yeah, anyway, now I've become derailed again. Back on topic. So yeah, for a lore video discussing pyromancy, we're going to be creating 2 characters, because there is different versions of the pyromancy set depending on your sex, male and female. They're basically the same, but there's a few little key details, because again, I do want to be discussing about the attire of the pyromancy or pyromancers. And again, this lore video is only from the perspective of Dark Souls 1. Not only does this allow me to make later videos on the same topics from different perspectives, i.e. Dark Souls 2 and 3, but yeah, Dark Souls 1, I just like viewing the game's lore from when it was released, because Dark Souls 3, you start adding some of that stuff into the mix and it gets a bit messy. So we'll that's for the future, because we have been discussing a lot about Pyromancers and especially Venheim Dragon School in my Dark Souls 3 kind of semi-lore through relaxed streams we've been doing. Again, you can find them on the second channel if you've missed the VODs. Alex, if you could post a link to that, please. And we'll get back to Dirty Dave and his adventures at some point. But I do want to continue and finish the Elden Ring lore through. Not this week, but I want to continue it this week. I want it to be done this next 2 weeks, because realistically it's only about 3 streams, maybe 4. So fingers crossed. Anyway, Monty, welcome. So let's just reminisce, everyone. Here is Eredin, the character that started the channel. For those who haven't watched, please do so. My Dark Souls and Undead Pilgrimage. That was my lore through that kick-started this channel and made me decide that, yes, I do want to continue talking passionately about this game after keeping it to myself for over 10 years. This is that character. Little throwback. We've also got Dirty Dave. He is wearing Quailana's clothes, or is it Quailana's clothes? I don't know. I did do a video about this, discussing the Witch of Izalith and her Daughters of Chaos. So Alex, if you could also please link that specific video, because that does relate to what we're going to be talking about, because I will be expanding off of some of the stuff discussed in that little video I made before ER's release. I think that was my last lore video for Dark Souls before, as I said, Elden Ring hit the shelves. Oh, I love it. Souls of Fire. As said before, there's 2 songs. If I somehow die, which again, you shouldn't be thinking like this, because law of positive attraction can also mean negative attraction, but whatever. This and Nameless Song are the 2 songs that have to be played at my funeral. Have to. Because there's so much emotion wrapped up in this song for me. I can remember staring at the character customization and just being lost in that music, and then of course getting thrown into such a harsh environment, such a brutal game. It's very jarring and it sets you up to fail, and that's what I love about it. You think, Dark Souls not so bad, this is a nice song, this is relaxing, I could go to sleep. And then you press play and it all goes downhill. Then you're getting steamrolled by a boulder. Some knights going, "Thou art our chosen undead, seek blah blah blah," and you're like, what the hell is this man saying? And then you've got a big demon with a hammer that you have to somehow, I don't know where he's storing that key, but you kill him and he drops a key, and then you get picked up by a crow and you get dropped off by a bonfire, and then there's a miserable old man, middle-aged man there saying basically it's all hopeless, and there's actually 2 bells of awakening, and then you wander into the graveyard and get spanked by skeletons. I thought this was an RPG. Skeletons are like the easiest enemy to ever exist in an RPG. Why are these so hard? And then you wander around and you end up in New Londo and you fight ghosts that you can't actually kill, and you're thinking, what the fuck? So then you respawn again, and finally you realise that there is some stairs hugging the cliffside that lead to enemies who you can kill and do moderate damage to. And then you walk up the steps, the Undeadburg title card hits you, and you're just in this world. You see the high walls, you see the environment, you see the sun peeking its head over the tower, and you're like, this is just incredible. And then you die again. So I can't wait to start playing again. I can't wait to start playing Dark Souls again. And Crunchy, again, shout out to Crunchy. His stream last night definitely didn't inspire this decision. Definitely didn't. That's not why we're doing this today. Anyway, hit me with that music, please, sir. So let me because we've adjusted the sound levels, as you guys did say, my mic was a bit quiet. I don't know why that is. I'm going to put that down to streaming with V-Limit, which again, you can check on Twitch, me and V-Limit, who's another channel you should also check out. I'm pretty sure most of you will be familiar who V-Limit is. We played some Terraria yesterday. It was fun. Anyway, I was saying something. So yeah, let me know if when we get into the game the sound needs adjusting. Probably does. Right, so that's not what we do. Solomon. I think that's how you spell. No audio. You know why? You know why? Told you. It's just don't have a one monitor setup when streaming. Get 2 monitors as soon as you can. Because I don't know what's going on. There you go. You should have music now. I'm pretty sure this is how Solomon's spelled. Again, it was later in Dark Souls 3 he's thought to be a actual salamander due to the passing of time. The pyromancers from the Great Swamp, or the conjurers as they're known, when you find that certain set. Yeah, they believe him to be a salamander, which does again tie in with Dark Souls 2 in aspects. I really like that lore, and we talked about this in my Dark Souls 2 semi-lore talk streams with No Hair Pierre. Just how the passing of time has affected these stories and these tales and these deities. Deities have been split into 2 beings, and people worship them differently without knowing that they are essentially the same person. And tales of the gods, these retellings of stories as old as time, may not actually be true. They may not be real. People may have just made them up. But it's their faith in these stories that give them power. And I've always loved that. I've always loved that. Anyway, so Solomon, Dark Souls 1. Type this on my phone. It's not how you spell Dark Souls. It's Salaman. Salaman, not Solomon. Solomon! Solomon Kane, by the way. Fucking fantastic film. If you haven't seen it, you should. Released in 2009. Was supposed to be a 3-part adventure, but it didn't do very well in the box office. And I've been heartbroken ever since. I absolutely love Solomon. Solomon Kane! It's so good. It's such a good film. It's like... I don't know how to describe it. It's like Diablo in a film. It's dead dark and gritty. That's one of the ways you could describe it. Is like Diablo, basically. Diablo 2 into a film. Anyway, so it's Salomon, not Solomon. Salaman. Definitely not a case of the dyslexia there. Do, 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 do. Right. So, the Pyromancers. Swamp Pyromancer. Casts fire spells and wields a hand axe. Now, why do you think they wield an axe in a swamp? Place of abundant life and its resources. What else is to be found there? Wood. Wood is primarily their main material that they build out of. That is their everything. I can imagine there's walkways above and around the swamp. Their houses are made of wood, rotting wood probably. It's probably not a very nice place because nature is constantly attacking anything you build. But yeah, you also have a cracked wooden shield, again speaking to this lack of quality to be found in the Great Swamp. And we can also see this kind of primitive lifestyle in their attire. we have... Hang on, let me turn him round. No, we're not discussing Drang Lake, and we're not discussing Thorland. Not Drang Lake, bloody Benheim Dragon School. We've got pelts of animals over the shoulder and the waist. We've also got this piece of material which has some form of language on it. Now, this is mumbo jumbo, but I want to, in my own time, see if this matches up with the demonic language that can be seen on those of Chaos. Say like Quelana and come on, think. Got Elden Ring on the brain, Ceaseless Discharge, and of course the two daughters of Chaos that sit besides their mother, the Bed of Chaos. But they also have a necklace of gemstones. These are of varying colours, but of course they're orange, they're fiery red, and gems and their importance is something to admire in this game, because rings have power not only because of their enchantment and the process in which they were made, but also a lot of their power in these games is down to the gem that is socketed in them. So I do think these gems we see are perhaps to increase their power, to help further attune themselves with their inner self, their own flame in which they pull from, as a pyromancer shares his flame with a would-be apprentice. And we'll get some of this dialogue from Laurentius, that basically when a pyromancer gives you his flame, he's giving you a part of himself. So what is the soul if not to be best described as a flame? And what do we carry within us as humans? The dark soul. And what does chaos depend on? Humanity. So I'll probably be discussing and touching upon these subjects in the lore video about this dependence on humanity. We being not the perfect, I don't know, not catalyst but host, I guess, conjurer basically for fire, because we are an ever burning fuel source due to what we carry as humans, the dark soul. And it's not only, of course, the chaos flame that depends on humanity. Due to Gwyn's involvement, it then becomes the first flame and the bonfires that are linked to it through the burning of the dark soul, which is just another Lord soul, one of the primeval souls. Of course, the Age of Fire is extended. So yeah, we also have that. You have travel pouches, keeping supplies and whatever else. Again, very primitive leather shoes. No laces to be seen, just tied around the ankles. Many layers as well. Fight off any type of weather, whether it be wet, cold and windy. Offering all types of protection. There seems to be some chainmail. Only on the front though. Again, perhaps it speaks to the rarity of such an advanced, compared to the Great Swamp this is, such an advanced type of technology that is chainmail. That's why they aren't covered in it, because, you know, chainmail, yes it is primitive, it's just rings of mail, well, rings of chain worn on someone to stop piercing attacks, or, you know, it won't soften a blow, but it will protect you from sharp objects. But the lack of it, again, I think probably speaks to its rarity, and that maybe it's not something crafted in the Great Swamp, because there may also be no need for it as well. These pyromancers are not going out seeking trouble, but when they leave the Great Swamp, they need some protection. And then, I mean, that's really it. We discussed everything. Of course, they got the hood. Again, wet, windy weather. Also, it's good for hiding their face, as these are known as heretics. Those who hail from the Great Swamp, let me just clarify that. Those who hail from the Great Swamp are known as heretics. There are other pyromancers to be found outside of the Great Swamp who have also ventured to Lordran, because we find their pyromancies in Lordran, stating that it is a outland pyromancy. It's not known or was not made in the Great Swamp. It's come from another source, and it says that in the description. As I said, I should probably be looking to my notes at some of this because I have a whole Word doc. Again, it's basically done just this last bit of kind of observational notes, and then the script can get started with. So select pyromancy, of course. Our gift, and this is something again that I'm going to be discussing. The old witch's ring, gift from a witch, ancient ring with no obvious effect. It is a gift. It has been given. It's not been stolen. It's not been taken. It has been given. Now, due to that choice of description, this does make me think that it's recent. It's relatively recent. So, if you don't know, this ring allows you to communicate with the Fair Lady. It allows you to speak the language of Izalith, the language of demons. And again, I covered this complete subject in my Witch of Izalith lore video. Of course, not only discussing her daughters, but also demons and their culture. Has no obvious effect. Again, it seems a pretty dud item, but it does have a use, only one use. Unlike this thing, this has caused, well, this did cause many hours of wasted time, but that was a troll from the Big M. So I think that this ring may have been gifted to Salomon from Quaylana, because that makes the most sense for me, because we know from Quaylana that Salomon came in contact with her 200 years ago, and at that time she knew him to be a master pyromancer, as if he came to her with that title already attached to his name. He didn't earn that after the fact. So again, pyromancy did not start with Salomon, because where else do we find pyromancy in the past? It's called the Black Flame. We find it in the Chasm of the Abyss. So a pyromancer travelled back to Lordran in the time of Ulasil and its fall, and discovered a new pyromancy, or was able to discover a new pyromancy due to the goings on in Ulasil. So it's always something to consider. Did this come from Quaylana, or I'm going to try and explore something else in my video. Did it come from the sister, the daughter of Chaos, who we do not know about? There is a daughter of Chaos that is not accounted for. And again, I approached this subject and I gave a reason as to why she is not known or heard about in the lore video that I've referenced 3 times now. And I'm not going to spoil it. I guarantee you would not have heard it before. I try and make my theories as logical as possible. I do not grab, I do not reach. So that's all I'll say. It's a possibility, and it linking in with an item that can be found in the first area of the game. So yeah, did this come from that sister, or was it gifted from Quaylana to Salomon, who then took it back to the Great Swamp, and then it's been passed down to us? Because this doesn't make sense to come from anywhere else. In my eyes, the old witch's ring does not make sense for it to be attached to any other starting class. Only the pyromancer this makes sense. We're just going to go average, nothing fancy. And we'll read the preset. Eerie Great Swamp. Great Swamp heretics face prejudice for their atypical looks. Now let me scroll through my notes. Definition of eerie reads, causing fear and uneasiness, strange and eerie coincidence. So why do you think they might cause someone fear or uneasiness? Either themselves as people from the Great Swamp, or the Great Swamp itself as a region. Now, swamps can look pretty spooky. So I've always imagined the Great Swamp to be a dense swamp. Very compact. Dark, almost. Definition for atypical reads, not representative of a type, group or class. An example of this being used is a sample of people who are rather atypical of the target audience. The definition of prejudice reads, preconceived opinions that is not heard. Sorry, I can't fucking read that far away. Let me grab my laptop. That is not based on reason or actual experience. An example of this, prejudice against people from different backgrounds. Second definition is harm or injury that results or may result from some action or judgment. Prejudice resulting from delay in the institution of the proceedings. There we go. Got my trusty, just making words up, my trusty work laptop accompanying me for this stream. So yeah, a lot to digest, so I am going to be, and I've got a shitload of other definitions as well, because I do always like to lean in to the language that's chosen in descriptions. I really get an idea of the picture that's trying to be painted. Pardon me, trying to be painted. So yeah, things to think about as to why these people are looked down upon, why are they perceived as such. We'll get some more dialogue when we come in contact with Laurentius, as when he returns to Firelink, he gives you a bit of a spiel. Now, because we're a Pyromancer, we may actually miss out on dialogue. So instead of going in the game, we can just change and have a look here. So the women's for me is less about combat, much more lighter gear, a lot less complicated in many ways due to the overcoat / hood. Reminds me of something you'd expect a firekeeper to wear. But again, is this just kind of typical of the time and type of fashion that women would wear in a medieval age? Again, struggling to not sound like an idiot, what I'm trying to say. There is no words inscribed, just this reddish browny almost like tanned leather wrapped around their waists. They've got the same travel bag, same axe, same cracked wooden shield, same shoes for the most part, and of course same necklace of gems of varying colours, going from black to almost like a milky white to a fiery orange / red. Much more basic. So that's the women's. But we are making Salomon. When we make a female character, of course we're going to call her Carmina because we have to. So back to Salomon. There we go. Oh. Well, I got no hair, so Salomon. I imagine Salomon with a ponytail, to be honest. I can imagine he's quite the chap to wear a ponytail. I don't know what it is. He just strikes me as this type of chap. Now that... what's Carmina gonna have? Probably a ponytail too, as she was his student. I've forgotten if that's outright stated, or it's just heavily speculated that Carmina was the student to Salomon. It's also believed, due to Laurentius and his dialogue, that Salomon is the withering old frog, i.e. his mentor that he mentions. Again, withering old. We know, thanks to Quailana, that Salomon came in contact with her over 200 years ago, so that could be 200 years, 201 years, that could be 299 years, no idea, but it's in that range. It could be 200 years and 4 months, do you know what I mean? It is what it is. So, due to the undead curse, which would presumably be the reason as to why Salomon came to Lordran, as again Laurentius has some dialogue of, the day I became undead, I was ecstatic. He finally felt like he'd been given a purpose, something to that effect. So yeah, I do think Salomon of course travelled here while he was undead, and that's the whole reason he did so, because there's no fear of dying. Yes, you will die and you will go hollow, however, that's also a different tangent to discuss, how hollowing happens. It's much more of due to a loss of hope, because we meet many characters who are look very hollow, look on the brink of hollowing, but are keeping on by the skin of their teeth due to their trade. Assumably their trade allows them to live through the transaction of souls. It just gets them by. It gives them a purpose as well. As a merchant, you have a purpose. You have hope of making a sale. I mean, because what else is there as you're undead? Undead, thanks to Dark Souls 3, we do know that they eat and they enjoy a drink, but I think there's also some other lore in the game, or in the game somewhere, about undead and their eating habits. I can't remember. But yeah, you know what I mean? Eating isn't on the forefront of your mind because you get ever closer to the beef jerky look once becoming undead. So yeah, I think that probably takes the forefront of your concerns. Carmina being the Latin for songs. Right, thank you, Alex. I will have to remember that. I will have to remember that. Now that could also, I could also go on a completely different tangent about Carmina's chosen name. Now, we see a ritual taking place in the beginning intro, and we will see that the Witch of Izalith and the Daughters of Chaos gather around with their Izalith staffs. And what I believe them doing in the beginning intro is actually attempting to duplicate the flame from a soul, not her soul. It is never stated that she tried to do it with her soul. It says a soul. and I speculated and theorized, due to the observations and arguments I presented, that the soul that she used in the attempt to duplicate the first flame was the soul of her unborn child. She is the mother, or was the mother, of pyromancy. She's also a mother to children. So her using an undeveloped soul from an unborn child that she can then nurture and manipulate, like you can do with children, of course. You can raise them up to be however you want them to be. You affect their life and how they will become. So I presented that argument, and that's the reason why Ceaseless is so just he's fucked, basically. It's because what his mother did, and that's why his sisters pity him. And Ceaseless is mentioned as the first demon in the design works by Miyazaki himself. So I tie this all in to present that argument. Again, if you just watch the video, please, you'll get a much more less rambly, precise and constructive arguments in that video than I'm presenting here now. But yeah, songs. Carmina meaning songs. So people often chant, dance around fire. You know, a bit of ceremony there. Pyromancy can also be seen as witchcraft. The flame witches were what the Daughters of Chaos used to go by before the birth of pyromancy, when they used to use wands to conjure the fire sorceries that are now long extinct in the current timeline of the game. So, you know, witches dancing around a source point of fire, chanting songs. Also, the fact that Carmina is a woman, tying into what I just talked about with witches. I know there can be male witches, but you know, we often think of a female witch. Maybe there's grounds for an argument there to be made. So I'll have to think about that. Maybe apply that to my would-be lore video. Anyway, dark blue, I don't want to do that. Maybe we'll go grey. Have we got grey? There you go. I can imagine Salomon was already an aged fellow by the time he met Quailana, because he's known as a master. You know, to reach that level of understanding of something takes years of practice. It's said nowadays it's 10 years. It's around 10 years of doing something is how long it takes to master something. Of course, I'm not talking about doing it once every weekend, like consistently for 10 years. You become a master at it, whatever it is. So yeah, I don't know. I just expect him to be a bit older, not a young buck. Which is also something to think about. Who is the youngest undead we meet? Because it's got to be Rhea in Dark Souls 1, as her companions, Nico and Vince, are said to be her former school friends by Petra, something to that effect. So she's just left school. I don't know the grading system and how long one has to stay in school if you were to live in Thorland, but you know, she strikes me as like an 18-year-old Rhea. She's got somewhat of an understanding of life, but she doesn't really, you know what I mean? She's yet to have the good and the bad, because she also comes from the good house. You can imagine she's had a pretty well-off upbringing. She's not really known struggles. But anyway, talking about things, it's what happens. I can't help myself with Dark Souls 1. So back on pyromancy. How long are we streaming? An hour, and we're still staring at this. Still staring at this screen. Right, let's start this bloody game. So we've got everything. Salomon, level 1, sorted. I suppose actually before we go in, do we have the highest resistance as a Pyromancer? Right, we share that with a Wanderer. Now that makes sense. Because as a Wanderer, you will go anywhere the road takes you. So you will come across many different environments and situations. So that is also something to consider. Resistance is a useless stat. Don't do it. Do not put any points into this stat. But that is something to consider. 10 intelligence. It's definitely on the low end. Faith is at 8. That is the lowest. So yeah, things to think about. Achievement at 12. Is that the highest or is that shared highest? Achievement is number 1 at Sorcerer and coming in at number 2 with Pyromancer. Okay. So yeah, I'll have to think about and try and incorporate the attributes and their base stats. Anyway, start the bloody game. And I'll mute the mic for this because
in the age of ancients,
it's too good.
The world was unformed, shrouded by fog. A land of grey crags, arch trees, and everlasting dragons. But then there was fire. And with fire came disparity. Heat and cold, life and death, and of course, light and dark. Then from the dark they came and found the souls of lords within the flame. Nito, the first of the dead. The Witch of Izalith and her daughters of Chaos. Gwyn, the Lord of Sunlight, and his faithful knights. And the furtive pygmy, so easily forgotten. With the strength of lords, they challenged the dragons. Gwyn's mighty bolts peeled apart their stone scales. The witches weaved great firestorms. Nito unleashed a miasma of death and disease. And Seath the Scaleless betrayed his own, and the dragons were no more. Thus began the Age of Fire. But soon the flames will fade, and only dark will remain. Even now, there are only embers. And man sees not light, but only endless nights. And amongst the living are seen carriers of the accursed dark side.
I will never in my life get bored of that.
Yes, indeed. The dark sign brands the undead. And in this land, the undead are corralled and led to the north. Where they are locked away to await the end of the world. This is your fate.
Oscar! You were supposed to be the chosen one! Ah, don't you just love the remaster? Let's not actually make the game look prettier. Let's somehow make it look... Well, it never looked worse, but let's somehow make it look worse by turning up the saturation dial by about... I don't know, 30%. Everything's just so, ugh. Prepare to Die looks a lot better than the remaster. Prepare to Die with, of course, little graphical mods looks better than the base remaster. I've never looked into any graphical mods for the remaster because I've never modded Dark Souls 1. But it's something that I will need to do as I want to employ the use of camera tools and mods for capturing footage because we know I love the binoculars, but yeah, I'm past that now. You know what I mean? I'm past that. And if it comes to it, I'll have to use binoculars again, but there are definitely resources out there for me to find. Anyway, love that intro. We now get a better look at these stones. Look at the cord, thick. Now, do you think this is a type of cord, or perhaps it's a vine? It looks rather wooden, but that may due to the limitations of the graphics and, you know, the fact that you're not really supposed to be looking at this so intimately. But it almost looks like wood, doesn't it? It almost looks like wood. And look at these gems. Rough. They have been cut and shaped, but not with any advanced equipment. Again, speaking to this primitive nature of those who hail from the Great Swamp. We've also got some beads, I think. Due to the angle, don't think I can get a good look at these. Seem to be a mix, I think, of more gemstones. Got that a reddy orangish colour and like milky white. You see that? I don't know if they're supposed to be steel balls or again more gemstones, but the fact that they are wrapped around the hand, of course, whereas pyromancy cast from the user's hand, again may speak to that these gems are meant for attuning oneself, increasing one's power. Speaking to the conversation of rings we were having. Anyway, so we're not going to be reading, or I'm going to try and not read things that don't actually relate to pyromancy, or we will be here for another hour and not leave the asylum. I'm also not going to try and talk about everything else, because if you want me to do so, then again there is a series that exists that I've already done. It's called An Undead Pilgrimage, my Dark Souls 1 lore through. You can find it on the channel. Episode 1 is listed publicly, and then the remaining are unlisted. And you can find the playlist on the main page. I'm also going to try and refrain from looking at cool little things such as this. The fact that you can see the Asylum Demon through the window before entering the boss room. I'm just going to try and stop myself, because once I start, I will not stop. Didn't even get the music. That's how quick we are. Got a Dark Souls 3 style of bonfire here. Now, if you didn't know, here I am talking about things after I said I wouldn't. If you die on the run up after that gate closes, the game just respawns you here, at the top of the stairs. Just respawns you here. So, of course, it makes sense for this to be here. And I guess when you return later, it makes a bit more sense. But for now, it doesn't, because the game doesn't take you back to the first bonfire. So, we'll kill this fella, and then we'll read our equipment. I also got no hood on. I mean, why not? Let's try with no hood. Be a pro. So yeah, the hand axe is just a typical axe you'd expect a lumberjack to wield, and I think that is mentioned in the actual item. Small hand axe appears identical to a lumberjack's tool, but has an ideal weight and strength, and is easy to handle. One wrong swing leaves the wielder wide open, so timing and proximity to the enemy must be judged carefully. Now if we go back to the definitions. Definition for lumberjack reads: a person who fells trees, cuts them into logs, or transports them to a sawmill. So again, ideal for a place named the Great Swamp, where trees are aplenty. We have the cracked wooden shield. So we have some metalwork mixed in with woodwork, of course. Again, it's cracked. Possibly this damage has been done on our travels from the Great Swamp, and the fact that the resources and materials that actually makes up this shield aren't great in quality. You know, the craftsmanship is to be desired, you know. So again, this speaks to its longevity, as any form of use, light and especially hard, would damage it. Round wooden shield, cracked and nearly broken. Wood shields are lighter than metal shields, but this one has a lower physical damage, reduction stability, partly due to cracking. And this is, I know this sounds stupid and to be expected, but I've always loved this about this game and just RPGs in general, that actually have a stat difference thanks to their physical appearance, or at least they try and incorporate that in the lore. So another example of this is the east-west shield that the clerics start with. That is also cracked and does not have decent physical damage reduction because of that fact. But you can see the metal bordering that actually forms the circle, of course, has snapped off, and the wood has got multiple dents and scars. You can also see Just the raw wooden pattern of these planks. You know, again, speaking to the fact that this craftsmanship isn't advanced. This is very raw work. This is raw wood. It's just been cut from a log and pieced together, which I admire that. And yeah, the axe, rusted. Look at look at this fucking game. Look at the detail in this game. Head axe, worn, scratched, dented, rusty. Games releasing nowadays do not have this level of detail on their weapons. They look like plastic. Again, look at the handle. Not been treated. Just raw cut wood shaped for its needed purpose. We get a better look at the kind of lettering around this waistcloth. Again, just mumbo jumbo, probably the same language you could see on here. Again, this doesn't actually say anything. People have tried to decipher it. The only thing that does mean something, or can mean something, is the Nordic runes seen etched onto titanite chunks, shards and slabs, and only thanks to Dark Souls 3, due to the higher image quality of those items, was that discovered, because in this game, of course, the items look like shit when viewed in the menu. You know, they're not that good. So if you're making a lore video and you want to use an item, try and see if Dark Souls 3 has an upscaled version of it. If not, you're going to be left with a very poor quality image from Dark Souls 1. We have the rusted iron ring. Again, I did mention that a certain item links with the untold Daughter of Chaos. And spoilers for my own lore video, if you haven't watched it, it is that item that I tie into that unnamed Daughter of Chaos. But as we were discussing why the Pyromancers are known as heretics and where they may have been, or how we may have acquired the old witch's ring, then perhaps it was thanks to the unknown Daughter of Chaos. Because pyromancy, life emerged from Lordran. This is where life was created. Not here right now, because we are on the outskirts of Lordran. In the lower mountain ranges, I think. When we get to Firelink, I'll show you exactly where I think the asylum is in reference to Lordran. But anyway, all life came from Lordran, is my belief. The Age of Fire was fought and won on its very soil. And from there, people left and went out into the world, and countries were formed, cultures were developed, people became independent, they became separate, and history was made. Everyone could trace their ancestry back to Lordran. And this mention of ancestors is also heard from Laurentius' dialogue. And like everything in Dark Souls, Pyromancy 2 came from Lordran, from the city of Izalith. Pyromancy only occurred once the Bed of Chaos was created, so that also gives us some scale and time frame to work with. Quailana mentions, surely 1,000 years of atonement is enough, meaning that the witch attempted to duplicate the flame 1,000 years ago, or around then, is how I take it. So that scene in the beginning intro with her and her daughters, again, was roughly 1,000 years ago, or maybe just a bit more. So you got to think, Salamon met Quailana around 200 years ago or more. So we have 800 years to work with between the creation of pyromancy, i.e. the bed of chaos, and Salamon coming back to Lordran and fighting Quailana. So we have an 800-year gap right there. To me, that is more than enough time for a culture, a new people, to start and to feel old. And for history to be forgotten. Surely that's enough time, 800 years. I mean, we can't even remember what happened 200 years ago. We need Wikipedia to tell us. So, can you imagine 800 years in a time before the internet, when it's just all word of mouth? So again, why was the Great Swamp the destination for pyromancers? We are pyromancers from the Great Swamp, but as I've explained, there's other pyromancers out in the world, either on their own or within their own communities. Now, where they live and exist, do they also live in a place such as a swamp? Because we know, thanks to Laurentius again, that pyromancy does not mesh with advanced cultures. And until we get to Laurentius is when I will expand upon that subject, about why pyromancy must be in a place such as a swamp and why it does not mesh well with advanced cultures. I did touch upon this in the Undead Pilgrimage, so some of you may remember some of my conversations. But for now, I'm liking the idea that the unknown sister, daughter of chaos, is somehow caught up in the pyromancy, while pyromancers and the Great Swamp and the ring. The ring is the reason why. The ring. Who did the ring come from? That is something I'm going to lean into heavily. Was it Quailana when Salamon came back? Because how did he know to sort out Quailana if that is what he was doing? As I said, 800 years had passed since pyromancy was created via the bed of chaos being spawned into existence, and Salamon coming to Lordran, where he stumbled upon Quailana, or perhaps he sought Quailana. So someone must have told him these stories of where pyromancy, their ancestors, can be found. You know, something of such importance could not be forgotten. But who carried that message in that story? Was it the people who moved from Isleth and Lordran? Did they have someone important with them that they looked up to, that they worshipped, that helped them further their understandings, i.e. this unknown daughter of chaos? That's someone who carried the ring that allows others to learn and understand their language, the language of the demons, the language of the people of Isleth. And then this ring, of course, was gifted gifted between the pyromancers, and now has found itself in our possession. Or was the ring gifted from Quailana to Salamon 200 years ago? Again, this ring is important. I'm definitely going to lean into it. Oh, you're joking. I was going to do the back step, but I decided not to this time.
Oh, you're
no hollow, hey?
You're no hollow.
Hmm?
I'm done.
Right, yeah.
Regrettably.
Thou art dead or chosen. Seek thine Exodus to the Undead Pilgrimage. Right, okay, blah 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 blah. Again, I've mentioned this in my lore through, but I definitely do want to do a video as to why the prophecy is wrong. Why we are told there's one bell, and in actual fact there's two bells, and I do believe that Velka is, of course it's got to be Velka. Velka is somehow caught up in this, and it's involved with Gwendolyn and the acquisition of the Dark Moon, Blades of the Dark Moon, and Anolondo and its history, and its exchange in power, and its manipulation, and its use of ye olde language. Again, that use of ye olde language is something that Hawkshaw leans into heavily in his Way of the White lore video. So I'll need to watch that. Again, this lore video about why the prophecy is wrong is It's just an idea. There's no really, you know, I'm not promising anything here, people, but it may come out at some point in the channel's lifespan. But yeah, I've never seen people tackle that. It would be interesting to do, because the giants at Sen's Fortress, they know to react to 2 bells. Oh my god, what a scrub. There we go. And who are the giants and Sen's serving? I believe it to be Gwendolyn, because they are actively serving the prophecy of the chosen undead. The chosen undead, who is created to do what? To feed the flame, to keep the Age of Fire going. The way of white, the way of Gwyn. Gwyn means white in Welsh. Blah blah blah. All this stuff most people already know. Get our Pyromancy flame. I haven't actually read the attire. I went on a massive tangent about the weapons. Hood worn by Pyromancers of the Great Swamp. Again, Pyromancers don't just come from the Great Swamp. These are just Pyromancers, or we are just a Pyromancer of the Great Swamp. Though it appears tattered, it is actually quite strong. Their attire offers substantial protection against poison, fire and other forces of nature in the hinterlands where they were driven. Poison and fire and other such perils are heard and read about within the gold-hemmed set that are worn by the Daughters of Chaos. So again, I may lean into this with the whole missing witch. The missing Daughter of Chaos. Why both of their attires share similar traits. Now, is that because pyromancy invites a certain environment? Again, something for me to discuss. The hinterlands. The definition of the hinterlands reads: the remote area of a country away from the coast or the banks. Thanks to the boy racer there, ruined it. Start again. The remote area of a country away from the coast or the banks of major rivers. An example of this being used is the hinterland of southern Italy. Another definition is an area lying beyond what is visible or known. Definition of this being used is the strange hinterland where life begins and ends. Where life begins. An abundance of nature teeming with life is swamps. Pyromancy depends on this energy of life. It pulls from it. It feeds off it. It gives it strength. And again, I said I would explore this when we talked to Laurentius, because he has more dialogue on pyromancy. But think about where Izalith is based. Deep within the bowels of the earth, its core. Its environment is very hostile. Again, which speaks to why the attire of the Daughters of Chaos have such high resistances to certain perils. But that chaotic nature is what I believe the fire sorceries and then pyromancy and then of course chaos pyromancy pulls from. It's that energy, that environment is what gives it strength, that rawness. So yeah, I do believe pyromancy is connected, and hence why it does not advance with advanced cultures, because with an advanced culture there's less of this primitive lifestyle. You have these built up towns, these stone cobbled roads. There's no nature, there's less nature in these built up areas, these towns, these cities. It's just bare brick, it's cold. There's no life. But when you're in an environment such as a great swamp or the bowels of the earth, you've got all this energy, all this natural raw energy for pyromancy to feed off and for you to tune into and pull from. So I think That's an angle to come at it when Laurentius mentions that it doesn't mesh well with advanced pyromancy, advanced cultures, and also the fact that advanced cultures, as I said, you have built up towns, villages, cities. Fire is not something you want in that environment, because what will fire do? It will potentially destroy everything, people, their homes, their livelihoods, their businesses. You don't want people chucking fireballs and conjuring the flame to be anywhere near your premises in fear of that, of you losing everything. So I think, for me, they're the top two reasons as to why it does not mesh with advanced cultures, and also the fact that people from advanced cultures, like the Venheim Dragon scholars, pyromancy is primitive, and again, Laurentius mentions this. So I said I wasn't going to talk about it later, of course. I spoiled myself, but we'll expand upon that in a bit if we get to that point, because at the minute this may be a multiple stream thing. It's already nearly 10 o'clock at night. Oh, come on. Elden Ring. No, it's Dark Souls 3 is what it is. There we go. Which I do appreciate. Each Souls game that you come into feels ever so different. I do like that. Boots made of thick leather. The boots of the Pyromancers are incredibly tough on account of the rugged grasslands and treacherous swamps they must traverse. Their soles are nearly impenetrable. The definition of grasslands or grassland reads: a large open of country with grass, especially one used for grazing, sorry. Example of this, acres of rough grassland. So yeah, we know thanks to the hinterlands that it's set back from the sea, near a large water source. Of course, it's a swamp, so outside of the swamp you have rugged grass, difficult to traverse, probably up to your waist or knee height. So you have all this feeding in, and then the city centre essentially of the Great Swamp is the swamp itself. Of course, as you leave the tree line of the swamp, then it becomes tall grass and bog. So yeah, I really like to imagine the areas that are described in the Souls games, because to me, the reason why I'm making this video is because I feel like nobody has tackled the subject of pyromancy in this manner. It always goes back to Izalith and the witch, and the witch of Izalith and her duplicating what people have always said to be her soul, but that's not what it says. It's a soul, not her soul, a soul. So my lore video will of course touch upon Izalith because it has to, because that's where pyromancy came from, but I'm very much just focusing on the pyromancers themselves and the important figures that came from the Great Swamp, i.e. Salomon and Carmina, which again, thanks to Alex, Carmina being Latin for songs. Oh my god, look at this, Dark Souls 3. And then I'll start playing Dark Souls 3 again with Dirty Dave, and I've pretty much got the parrying down in that game now, and that's all going to go out the window because of Dark Souls 1. The cycle never ends, people. Now how do I jump? No, that was not it. Luckily the hand axe does ridiculous damage. Oh, we haven't got it. So, although it is a asylum demon spawned from chaos, pyromancy does... Oh god. Pyromancy does a good amount of damage. And I talk about the demons and their presence within the asylum in that that over-mentioned lore video of mine, because the asylum is very important. Why do you think there's demons here? The relics of the war between Gwyn and Izalith. One is a prisoner, and one has converted. Turned his back on chaos and found himself basking in the sun, is my belief. Right, let's grab... Is there 2 soul items here? I forget. There's this one here. And I love this. You get a little sound of gushing wind. You can hear the birds. Hear the same sound when exploring the berg. Again, let me know if the sound needs increasing ambience wise. You may not be able to pick up on this stuff. And I'm not going to talk about this any longer, but maybe I am. Look, graves. Asylum for the undead. Undead don't need burying. Why are there graves here? Grave means death. Permanent death. To honour the dead. This asylum was not built for the undead. It was just that. An asylum. A prison. Far off from Lordran. Why do you think the peculiar doll is here? Because I believe that's where Priscilla was once kept before the painting, or whilst the painting was created. Because we know, thanks to Dark Souls 3, that it doesn't matter the size of the scrap of the painting, you will still be transported into its world. So I guess Arameus could have been half done with the painting, and maybe Priscilla was warped into it due to clutching her doll and being lonely in this world. And also the fact that the asylum is very similar to the painted world, as in you've got this circular mountain range in this snowy climate. But anyway, think about it. Graves. This predates the undead curse. It was just repurposed. Every area in Dark Souls has been repurposed to fit the new agenda. It's up to you to look between the lines and dig through the environmental clues. What came first, the chicken or the egg, is what I like to use. This is the egg. The asylum is the chicken. The undead asylum. Is there another soul item? I forget. Obviously there's the crow, but we don't. Well, we can't even interact with it just yet. We have to return. We've got nothing to give. But yeah, look at this structure. Clear indications that it stretched out far beyond and perhaps was covered. The architecture in many ways is very much like Firelink, but Firelink is one-to-one with the architecture seen in New Londo. Firelink is an extension of New Londo, hence the elevator. And I believe New Londo was once or first originally under Velka's control. And again, I do wish to do a lore video on New Londo. But yeah, and there's this path, and there's this weird cut-off. Perhaps the structure went this way and a bit this way. It's very old. Because as soon as life came into being, of course, parallels were spawned. Heat, cold, life, death, good and bad. So the Berg was only built within the last 300 years. The DLC took place 300 years ago. This is all confirmed in interviews, with it then surviving another 100 years. You cannot see the undead Berg and parish within the DLC when stood in the Royal Garden. That means that it did not exist. So that means it was built within the last 200 years before the timeline of the main game. So again, this predates all of that. This is very, very old. So the Berg, the lower Berg, the depths, that's only for the, quote, recent bad apples of society. So where else would you stick the old bad apples since life first began? Well, presumably in this asylum, and that's why it looks so bloody knackered, is because it's thousands of years old. Only in its recent history, in its recent existence, has it been repurposed for the undead. For the undead curse. Now it is called the Northern Undead Asylum. This has led many people to believe that there must be a southern one, but thanks to the narrator, undead are corralled and sent north, so I don't think so. I think there is only one undead asylum, and the fact that it's called Northern is just a clue into its location, because Lordran is the northernmost point of the world. I don't know if this is said in the lore, in descriptions, or the narrator in the intro, but yeah. I've always been under the opinion, again I'm pretty sure this is backed up, that Lordran is based at the northernmost point of the world. Anyway. I summon thee, Velka.
Only in the ancient legends it is stated that one day an undead shall be chosen. To leave the undead asylum in pilgrimage to the land of the ancient lords. Lordran.
One of the best cutscenes to ever exist in video games, telling you exactly where to go. Just you have to reverse it first. It shows you your path of navigation. It shows you your destination. And then you work your way backwards through it. If you reverse that cutscene, you will see exactly where you're supposed to go. Is that a tree avatar? For some reason my chat wasn't updating, guys, so I've missed a lot of your comments in the past 20 minutes. So I'm just catching up. Right, I'm all caught up. Bloody Twitch. In Lordran, you can level up via blah blah blah. Yeah. Right, so I'm gonna have to, because this is one of my favourite NPCs. We're gonna have to speak to him.
Well, what do we have here? You must be a new arrival. Let me guess. Fate of the undead, right? Well, you're not the first. But there's no salvation here. You'd have done better to rot in the undead asylum. But too late now. Well, since you're here, let me help you out. There are actually two bells of awakening. One's up above in the
undead church.
The other is far, far below, in the ruins at the base of Blighttown. ring them both.
Something happens. Brilliant.
Brilliant, right?
Right.
Not much to go on.
I fucking love
But I
this
have a
voice
feeling
actor.
that won't
All the
stop
voice
you.
actors in this game did it.
So, off you go.
Stupendous job.
It is why you came, isn't it? To
This
this
accursed land of the undead. Phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal.
Ah, your face. You're practically hollow. But who knows? Going hollow could solve quite a bit. What? Restoring your humanity? Well, there are a few ways to go about it. Collect it bit by bit from corpses. Or you can butter up a cleric and get yourself summoned. And the quickest way,
Although I never do it, is to kill a healthy undead and pillage its humanity.
coveting their neighbor is only
A human after all. Oh, I fucking love it. What are you looking at?
What are you looking at? Don't try anything clever.
You might regret it.
Regret it.
You sure? I've got my pyromancy from the Great Swamp. Burn you alive, man.
What? You want to hear more? Oh, that's all we need. Another inquisitive soul. Well, listen carefully then. One of the bells is up above in the undead church, but the lift is broken. You'll have to climb the stairs up the ruins and access the undead burg through the waterway. The other bell is back down below the undead burg, within the
plague-infested Blight Town.
But
I'd die again before I step foot in that cesspool. I love him.
Bloody hell, what is it now? You ask too many questions. What now? I'm not up for chatting.
Leave me alone. Thinking about it, we spawn without a covenant. I'd have to check which let me get this out right. Which classes start with a covenant and which don't. The knight starts with the Way of White. The cleric starts with the Way of White. I think that might be it. I was going to propose the argument that the reason the Great Swamp, people who hail from the Great Swamp are called heretics is because they lack what people think to be religion, or the well-known religion, i.e. the Way of White, which would definitely fit it within the timeline. As we said, last 1,000 years is when pyromancy was created. If we go off Quailon as dialogue, surely 1,000 years of atonement is enough. And within the last 1,000 years, the Way of White has come into existence. I believe Gwyn left a link to Flame shortly before the events of the DLC. I've explained this multiple times in different streams, so I'm not going to do it again. But yeah, that's what I believe is the case. So I don't know, something to think about with religion. Obviously the Pyromancers have their own religion, that is fire, flame, they worship it, right? But yeah, but that same, those are the Venheim Dragon Schools aren't also referred to as heretics, because they too lack religion in forms as such as the Way of White, and they aren't called heretics, so I don't really think that perspective would work. So never mind. Did I get the humanity? I did. Do we need the fire bombs? You never know. You never know. We might need the fire bombs. So we're just going to be staying in this strip. That's what I love about Dark Souls 1. You can either level up your character, you can level up your weapon, you can level up your armor. There's multiple ways for you to improve yourself and your character. It isn't all about just pumping attribute points. Although, of course, that does help. When you become familiar with the game, then you might decide to branch out and advance your character by different means, you know? Okay, I'm going to really pump my weapon to plus 10 before I start spending any attributes. I'm just going to put all my Titanite into my armor, and that's what I'm going to do, spend my souls and upgrading my equipment. That's what I love. Like, every class, and this is really true for every Souls game, every class is viable as it is when you start the game. Many people have done class speedruns. So, you know, not leveling up your character, just playing as intended with all the equipment equipped, and just playing like that. And just leveling up your sword, your armor, your shield and such. I have done them myself. And that's what I love. Whereas in later Souls games, when it gets a bit weeb-fested, a bit anime in their movement, again, especially Elden Ring, of course, the damage just gets ridiculous, so you can't really do a base class run. I mean, you could if you know, MLG gamer, right, and played the game non-stop. But again, then you're into a different bracket of consumer. You know, then you're an extreme end of the scale, so I don't believe games should ever be made for that side of the pendulum. Of course, many people believe that these games were made for extreme hardcore players, but they weren't. These games are not difficult. You just have to pay attention and learn. These games give you many, many opportunities to breeze your way through them. You just have to pay attention to what the game is trying to tell you. You can't just spam R1, although you can in Dark Souls 3. You know what I mean? At least in the earlier games. When this Crunchy touched upon this in his stream last night, and me and Crunchy do resonate on a lot of things. He doesn't like Bloodborne, he doesn't like Dark Souls 2, so that's the exception, and that's fine. But when we talk about the older games, the older From games, much more slower paced. I wish the games continued with that, but Bloodborne existed and I love it, and then they got a taste for speed, the need for speed, and the games have not slowed down since, and I don't think they ever will. They will just keep getting faster, but in that speed, in that increasing of speed, the Souls style is really starting to show its age. But I'm not going to keep continuing with that. We talked about that in Elden Ring. But yeah, the issues are becoming glaringly obvious now that the games are speeding up. Whereas in a much slower playstyle, they're masked. They're harder to find and see. You know what I mean? Harder to unearth, because everything is much slower, much more meticulous. Like, you have to think before you do. You can't just spam and roll and twirl in the air like a Beyblade because your Ash of War allows you to. Everything has weight. Every movement is meaningful. In my eyes. That's why I love Dark Souls. And Demon Souls. And Dark Souls 2. And if I want to play a fast game that breaks the mold and remakes the mold and reinvented the wheel, I play Bloodborne, because it's a game made for speed. It was made for that speed. But yeah, I'm not going to continue with that. Wait, this isn't Beyblade? Sorry to disappoint you, Alec. That hit his shield. You jammy git. Or maybe it didn't. Maybe it exploded in air right in front of him, but... Look at that. Rolling, chop down. Oh shit. Oh no. No way. I've never landed that. I thought I was dead. Ring of Sacrifice. Again, the Ring of Sacrifice is missing its gem, its purple gemstone. When it has that, it has a rare Ring of Sacrifice. Well, it becomes a rare Ring of Sacrifice, which ties in with the whole gems giving the rings power. They still have power when they've lost those gems, but you know, it is increased tenfold if the gem remains socketed. Disco Stew is what I call this guy. He always comes down here doing the splits. Right, I'm gonna try not... I can never not look at this. I just love looking at the berg. I love it so much. Soul of a lost undead. Which I suppose that is a bit of environmental storytelling that has been lost. In Elden Ring, you get runes. Now, only until you get to the higher echelons of those runes do they become or start become named. You know, you get the Newman rune, you get the Lord's rune, right? And then that can imply a bit of environmental storytelling. Whereas the previous games, especially Dark Souls, you have souls of lost undead, you have souls of knights, of warriors. You know, there is things to read there. There are events that you can imagine in your mind and how these corpses came to be found here. Who were they? Where did they hail from? Are they a knight? Oh, well, they most probably came from a storer. Are they a lost undead? Well, then they could have come from anywhere. You know? He would, Alex. He would. And this bars the way to, again, brilliant NPC. He's again crusty. Do not tell him I missaid his name. Crunchy commented on the undead merchants' dialogue and their voice actors. You know, just applauding them really. And both the undead female and male merchants just excellent. We're not going to bother with the rubbish. I'll tell you what, because he throws fire bombs. A bit of his own medicine. But we are going to do this. Eredin. Nadia, no, tell him Nadia said it. My alter ego. Oh, I just want to talk about the berg. I just want to talk about the berg. No, we've got to get to the depths. Can't talk about the berg. Got to free my soon-to-be master. Well, not really actually, because we've already got our own pyromancy flame, but our soon-to-be teacher. Because actually, I haven't read Fireball. Yeah. But Fireball's very basic. It even says so. It's like, oh. The first pyromancy that everybody learns. Look at that, guard broken. And look at that, even when guard broken, the game gives me enough time, if I am paying attention, to escape such an attack. Elden Ring, mate, that wouldn't happen. Just get lit up. Jesus, okay. They also have cracked wooden shields, so this is when, like, again, I was speaking about it representing the Great Swamp and its primitive aspects, but the fact that these fellas have cracked wooden shields, yeah, it's a video game. Should you read into it or not? Welcome, Knight. And Buffalo. Is Buffalo here? Oh, there you go. Hope you enjoyed your nap, sir. Disco Stew. He's calm. And I did do a lore video. My first lore video, actually. on the Undead Bergen Parish. See all these fortifications here? Well, there's a reason behind that. And some people believe that that's my best video because, like all my videos, I'm going to blow my own trumpet, I present ideas and plausible theories that I guarantee you wouldn't have heard before. You may have heard some things mentioned in the videos, but not everything. And that lore video about the Undead Berg and Parish and its state that we find it in is one such example. The stamina, wow, much more of a heavy, well, a stamina heavy game is the early games. Dark Souls 3. Again, this is, I think, to be a reason, well, something of an after effect because of Bloodborne. Stamina is just, unless you're not blocking, you barely use any.
Well now, you seem to have your wits about you, hmm? Then you are a welcome customer. I trade for souls.
Alan Carr,
Everything's for sale.
Mr. Chatty Man. So we don't need the residence key, although I do really like Griggs, and I might need that gold pine resin. Need the bottomless bots because I don't want to be sifting through my inventory this playthrough.
Thank you kindly. Oh, you again. I hope you've...
Is that enough? We do have 3k. That is enough.
Oh,
Thank you very much.
Come back.
You bite your little fingers off. Goddamn boxes. Right. Let's rest. Do we need to rest? Do we need to rest? Nah. Let's go. Get a unique instance. There you go, kick down the door. Illusiwall did some digging onto this guy, and he has a really weird tether. This soldier of Lordran. He'll just chase you for a long time, or he has a weird return point if you mess with the code in a way. I don't know. Interesting NPC, let's just say that, or enemy. Yulia! Yulia! Love that. Grabbing the back of the head. Just absolutely smashing him. Right in the ribs, back of the head. Fuck off. See you next week. Like fire bombs, just because why not? In case we run out of fireball. And while I am in a place of relative peace, let's read it. Standard Pyromancy of the Great Swamp. Hurl fireball. The fire damage caused by fireballs makes them effective against corporeal beasts and undead, who by nature fear the flame. Now, this is what's always bugged me. Is this that undead fear the flame? We are pyromancers. We are attracted to the flame. This happens before we are undead, while we are still human, and after the fact. Undead also use flame against other undead. The torch-bearing hollows in the lower undead berg, again, represent a mob. But again, lower undead berg. So the people that they are facing are undead themselves. So, and to me, being undead is just being reverted back to your natural state before life, discovered souls. Well, can we even class it as life before a soul was placed into its meaty vessel? So we see what resemble hollows in the beginning intro. From the dark they came and found souls of lords within the flame. We see these hollow-like silhouettes. That is the natural state of man, is what I believe. So we were attracted to flame in that state, and from the flame is where we found our souls. We were given life from the flame. So why, as an undead, if you do believe that, who by nature fear the flame? It's always bugged me, that line, because it repeats, I think, in Dark Souls 2 as well. Yorveth, thank you for popping in, mate. Always appreciate it. Good night, sir. Right, so you can't hurl fireballs the same distance as you can. No way did I miss him. Yeah, so don't try and lob your fireballs at great distances, because it just... You'll see, we've already seen what happens, they just combust mid-air, so no point. Oh. Disco stew. I'm stuck on a bit of wood. This is not good. Lyrical genius. Oh, you can actually go under here. What? I've never done this. I've never done this. No way. Well, there you go. Useless. But there you go. Oh, come on, guys. That's it. Join the queue. As if. Never knew that. Blue tearstone ring down there. Goddess of Tears. I've forgotten if Kathia is named in this game. I don't think she is. I think she appears in Dark Souls 2 first. This turn's finished. Always appreciated this room. Always thought someone of importance was held up here. This turn's finished. Tell you what, we'll chug. Glug glug. I also do appreciate that it's Oscar who gives you the undead flask. The Estus flask. Because if it wasn't the case, then that could leave a can of worms for the lore. But because each class does not start with an Estus flask, I don't know. I just appreciate that, because then that would spawn a whole lot of confusing arguments of, you know, religion relating to the starting areas and the characters and the different lands, you know. But I think it's great that it's Oscar who gives you it. While I'm here, we may as well. Shit. Shit. So menacing. I can't see. Again, purposely crafted this experience. The archway, if you go within the tunnel, obscures your view. The stairs hide the stature of this enemy due to the angle in which you come down them. So you think, oh, I can take this guy. He's facing away from you again. So you think you've got the advantage. And then he turns round and you realise how big he is. And then he hits you and you realise how strong he is. And then you know you've made a mistake. What if you're good at parrying? They're a piece of cake. And as Crunchy proposed, no, of course we did. Of course we did. I'll probably get the Boulder Side Sword on this character. Typical Dark Souls. I love this view. I really do. Look at this. Look at the teasing that it does to you. Look at this. You have a plume of smoke. And then you stare down and follow this cobbled path with a cart. Something that indicates, yes, you can go down there if the fire wasn't already an indicator to that. And you see, because From Software are masters of light, you see that that corner is illuminated. So that intrigues you. There's something round there. There's something for me to discover. I absolutely love viewing the Lower Undead Burg from such a position. It's such a great little area. This bridge purposely destroyed to contain the Knight of Havel, Havel's warrior. Again, that's something that Hawkshaw proposes in his Ash Lake video that touches upon the plot against the gods. You can also, if you really want a useless area, you can drop down here and stand there. And yeah, you can't really go anywhere else. Or can you? Oh no, you can. Okay, yeah. So, you can avoid the trap by doing that, which I just think is ingenious. You stand here, take a look around. Now, from up, just across there, you can see New Londo. Let's try and see if we can see it from this position. I think I can make New Londo out, perhaps. Yes, I can see the bridge. You see, let me turn the hood off. Right, you see where the head of my axe is? You see there is some structure there, 2 pillars. If I pull my camera to the right, you'll see the bridge elongate as the obstructing rock removes itself. You see that? That's clearly a bridge stretching over the ravine there. So that is New Londo, this here, where the head of my axe is. That's New Londo. How cool is that? And of course, there's Darkroot Garden, where my head is. That's where you pass down all the way to the basin. Around where my head is now is where you find the Crystal Lizard. Fucking brilliant. Right, I turned my hood off, didn't I? So if you do find yourself stuck here, thanks to rolling out of the way, then there you go. Just amazing. And that little trap never respawns, so... Oh. Big damage. Even if we got the parry, can't riposte on uneven surfaces because the game just hates it. Hellkite right over the Valley of the Drakes. Genius. Exactly, mate. Exactly. Hey. You little shit. No, I wanted those large... Oh, whatever. No use for Titanite. We're going to perform Blasphemy and use Gold Pine Resin. Of course, this is the E&B strat that we're about to produce. Again, E&B was the first Not the first to do it in the game's history, because it's actually showcased in the Bartholomew trailer, I think, this strat. But he was the first to make it known on YouTube. I knew that was going to happen because I ran out of stamina. And this is something I talk about in my celebration of Dark Souls and its 10-year anniversary and E&B. Again, that video can no longer be watched because he privatized it, but it's always worth mentioning it. I can never not do this. Just look at this. Just look at this. They definitely tried to emulate this feeling in Lothric, but the difference being was you came from the city into the lowlands. But to me, it just didn't ring the same because we already came from the high castle on the hill, you know. But working your way up to it, having it looming over you, this ring, this impossible sized ring on this impossibly sized mountain, that's higher than any other mountain range. Oh, I didn't tell you where I thought Firelink Shrine was, but basically, where those clouds are over there, because that's where Firelink is. You see the tree? There's the tree above Firelink. I believe the Undead Asylum is just in below those clouds there, because you see the crow, when it collects you, fly upwards, of course, to reach this mountain range, which Lordran calls home. But yeah, you know, you can't see any structures over this wall. Your imagination just races with what is over that wall. This is Olympus, the city of the gods. And just to be so close to it, you feel incredibly lucky. I don't know, I love it. Of course, the arena, battered, scarred, indicating that there is something on this bridge. The Taurus demon has been held up here for some time, and you are not the first which he's greeted. Oh, 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 oh. Right, jumping attack. There we go. I did it! Staggered him. Staggered him, boy. We get the hammer. Is it new game you get the hammer? I thought it was if you don't get hit by him you get the hammer. Or he has maybe just a chance of dropping it. But yeah, Taurus is dead. I remember defeating that boss for the first time. My god. Heart racing. You can see the soldiers lining the bridge. Of course Hellkite hasn't moved in just yet. Oh, it's such a good level. Bergen Parish will forever be my favourite. And an item I honestly forget a lot. Maybe some of you don't even know this is here. I'm not saying that is the case, but there's an item here in a barrel. There's a corpse in a barrel. Don't ask me why, but yeah. I don't know. Just I always forget it's there. I just run straight on. But it does exist. I love this view as well. Gotta speak to him. Gotta be done.
Ah, hello. You don't look hollow, far from it. I am Solaire of Astora, an adherent of the Lord of Sunlight. Now that I am undead, I have come to this great land, the birthplace of Lord Gwyn, to seek my very own son. You find that strange? Well, you should. No need to hide your reaction. I get that look all the time. Oh, aha. So I didn't scare you. I have a proposition, if you have a moment. The way I see it, our fates appear to be intertwined. In a land brimming with hollows, could that really be mere chance? So what do you say? Why not help one another on this lonely journey? This pleases me greatly. Well then, take this.
Jolly
We are
cooperation.
strange beings in a strange land. The flow of time itself is convoluted, with heroes centuries old phasing in and out. The very fabric wavers, and relations shift and obscure. There's no telling how much longer your world and mine will remain in contact. But use this to summon one another as spirits, cross the gaps between the worlds, and engage in jolly cooperation. Of course, we are not the only ones engaged in this, but I am a warrior of the sun. Spot my summon signature easily by
Praise.
its brilliant aura. If you miss it,
You must be blind. He's got my laugh. I have a Frenchman's laugh, I've been told. You stupid Englishman. So yeah, the boy. Look at the shoulder span. Look at the shoulder span.
Oh, I love the stick.
Let's leave him. Timey-wiminess, of course. The crutch of Dark Souls lore. What does it mean? Timey-wiminess. Is that enough? No, gotta go a bit further. Gotta go past the line. Burn, baby, burn. Your mother was a hamster, your father smelled of elderberries. Burn, baby, burn. The best shortcut to ever exist in a video game. The one that comes, maybe outshines it or matches it, is the one looping background to from Lorundead Berg past the depths back into Filing. That is just legendary. We all breathed a sigh of relief when we discovered it. Burn, baby, burn. Come on, Hellkite. I'll go all day, mate. Do. I love Hellkite. Look at the size of him. Look at the size of him. What if, hear me out, people. So, in the Valley of the Drakes, I do believe that those drakes, the purple ones, are actually undead who successfully transformed into a dragon, or a lesser dragon, a drake. Because they're relatively close to Ash Lake, accessed via, or that the player can access thanks to the Great Hollow. Doesn't mean that there's not other access points for other people within the world. Now, what if, because of that, and because of what Alex said before about Hellkite being positioned above the Valley of the Drakes, what if Hellkite is the missing Daughter of Chaos? Think about it. Think about it. Here's the firstborn. And for those who didn't know, there's his head. There's the statue's head. That's what Nameless... Again, this is before Nameless was a thing, because Dark Souls 3 only existed because of money. This was made as a complete game, blah, blah, blah. Not going to go on that tangent again. But this is the firstborn son. And here's his head, and I'm kicking his head. The head is lost in later versions of the game. When it reappears in Dark Souls 2, it's not there. Dark Souls 3, it's not there. Yeah, that's a fan favourite, Alex. That, of course, Hellkite is linked in with the Firstborn, which, again, I think makes more sense, especially because they went with that idea of the Firstborn being tied with drakes and the dragons in the third game. So again, everything, well, most things you see in Dark Souls 3 do have an origin point within Dark Souls 1, because, believe it or not, although they retconned a lot, they did try and make it work with the pre-established lore. They did, of course, have to sacrifice some things. And that's why Dark Souls 3's lore is a fucking mess. Because while they did sacrifice some things, they also built off some things, and then you've got, like... You can just be like, oh, it's timey-wiminess, and so much time has passed that, you know, tales and history is... It's all mumbled, it's all jumbled. It reflects the world, the true state of the world that you see at the end of the game. You know, everything's just a mess. So of course it doesn't make sense because it's a dying age, and yeah. But I don't know. We don't like that, or I don't like that, and that's their excuse, or people's excuse, for the state of the game. But we got to let it off. We got to let all those games off that released in that 3-year period, because my God, what a time to be alive. A Souls fan. We'll never get that time again. That will never happen again. Unless it's an unless it's a non-Souls IP that from release will we ever get a back-to-back release of a Souls game. In my opinion. Now, there may be a remake handled by a different studio that releases a year after a new from Souls IP, so we will in essence have a back-to-back Souls release, but it's a remake of the game you've already played. To me, that doesn't really count. I'm talking about new IPs released year after year. I mean, what a time it was to be alive. Jeez, it was great, and I'm thankful that I was young and the right age to play these games, you know, no responsibilities, still at school, the last years of school and first years of college, so like, you know what I mean, I had all the time in the world, although I just didn't know it. What it's like to be young. Anyway, the worst retcon for me, Tenor, is Ornstein. And I blame Dark Souls 2 for this, because Dark Souls 2 gave them the green light just to do whatever the fuck they wanted with him. Ornstein being brought back, and the whole illusion theory that the community likes or really tries to shoehorn, and him, you know, going to Nameless's side, I fucking don't like that. I don't like that they did that. Ornstein and Smo is such an iconic fight, and just to resurrect, you know what I mean, trying to just bring another. That's why I didn't really like it in Dark Souls 2. It was cool, of course it was, the first time, seeing him in the Blue Cathedral. But just like with Dark Souls 3, I played it a few more times, and then it started to grate on me. And I was like, you know what, I actually don't like this. It doesn't make any sense. Ornstein is a fudging weaved. You see the boobs on Smo's armor. Smo's... Again, and I also don't like that. Anything related to Anor Londo in terms of, like, basically Ornstein and Smo. I've discussed this in my streams of DS3 recently when we picked up Smo's hammer in Irithyll. And thank you for the follow. I nearly missed a notification. Maze DeFaze, thank you very much for the follow. You know, it says that Smo was a knight. He wasn't a knight. He wasn't let in. He wasn't a knight. He ground the bones of his victims and sprinkled them on his dinner. He wasn't let in because of that. But in the time of Dark Souls 3, he's a knight. And Dirk, thank you very much. So yeah, anything to do with Ornstein and Smo in Dark Souls 3, I just don't like. I don't like. Should have stayed in Dark Souls 1. Just leave him alone, please. Leave him alone. But whatever. It's happened now, and I can choose to ignore it. Look how ripped these hollows are. Like, they have Barbie waists. Look at that. And it not only that, but they have like an 8-pack as well. Although undead, they've still got the gains. Shredded. Oh. Oh, fuck. Fell down the stairs. Did I rest at the fire? I don't know if I did. No, I did light it, but I don't know if I rested at it. We're going to rest at it, because in Dark Souls 1, you have to rest at them. Come on now. Back steps are very situational. Very situational. Like, I don't... When is a backstep viable? It is sometimes, but if you're stood toe to toe, face to face, nose to nose with an enemy, they will still get you. Oh my god, fucking Dark Souls 3. With its 0.5 parry time. Oh, we've ran, that's not good. Oh no, you know what, forget it. If we die again, we're going to run up, get the souls, and just reset, and not bother with him. There you go. These are, for me, the hardest to parry. Although, no, I would say these are the hardest. The halberds, yes, they are difficult to read, but these fellas. Anyway, I shouldn't be messing around with this. We're trying to... Whole point of this is to discuss pyromancers, and we can't do that until we've really freed Laurentius. So, oh, you fucking... Oh, see, if that was Dark Souls 3 or Bloodborne or Elden Ring or any game that came after Bloodborne, we would have died then, because you can get hit on the floor, and I've never liked it. It's so cheap. But yeah, I usually drag him to here because there's just a bit more space. But yeah, just leave him where he is. Do we need the key to free Lautrec? No, we don't. What the f... Oh yeah, they don't reset, do they? They don't reset. I forgot. Will you... Oh, I love it. I love the wall. The camera in this game. Camera and gravity. Biggest enemy. Is me dead? I'm not dead. Holy shit. Try again. Less of that. It's a cool move, but less of that. No! Would have got him as well. Bloody Mike. Right. Let's forget. I'm not prying this dude again, although he'll probably stab me in the back. There we go. Yes! Always a good day when you get one. Gotta be careful I don't aggro the Boulder Knight. Oh, I unequipped the firebombs. I once killed the boar with the drop down of the gate. It was glorious. It was a very good victory. Right, I got the Boulder Knights. Cool, cool enemy. Fuck me when they're not doing that attack. There you go. You want the slash, not the thrust. Boulder side sword? Nah, too good for me, sir. So yeah, we need the key to the depths, which means we've got the key that enables me to do that, so that's fine. So we may try and get the Berenique because there's a chance he'll drop a Titanite shard, and any money I can save is always a good thing. Of course, you've got the soul of a firekeeper. I think I talked about them at length in my own Dead Pilgrimage, so I'll try and refrain from doing that. Sod off, will you? Look at that. Look at the damage difference. Two-handed. We'll grab the bonfire, but we won't be silly. When I first came down here, terrified, no Estus, heard the ting ting ting, did not know what that was. I thought it was an enemy, like Tong Po from Kickboxer, or whatever that Jean-Claude Van Damme film is, one of the many he's done. Like kicking a steel pole or whacking a sword against a steel pole. I was terrified. I came down here, saw the warm glow of the bonfire. Still terrified though. Ventured down and there was a blacksmith, and oh my god. I was relieved.
Well, you must be a new arrival.
I'm Andre of Astora.
If you require
smithing, then speak to me. Hurrah! Right, so we are going to get 9 of these bad boys. It is 9. Oh, we can only afford 8 though. That's fine. Haven't got a special ember. Didn't mean to do that again.
Don't get yourself neither.
I know nothing of the Dark Root Garden. Yeah, whatever. Sure you don't, Andre.
Well, you need.
Bloody one more.
Don't get yourself.
Right. Put stuff in storage, because that's not the type of run we're doing today. How the fuck do you... Oh yeah, there you go. Sorted. We got any armor sets that need going in? Yep. Rings. We may as well put blue tier stone ring on, because why not? I believe he has the crest because he's just involved with the area. I think he's been here for a long time. That's how he knows that the old church was abandoned in favour for the new church. Now, that's pretty relevant information, and there's not a lot of people around that I'd say carried that information nowadays. So I think that information is old, which he's telling us. Because again, this place is old. The new church was built in the last 200 years. Linking into what I was talking about with the DLC. And this, the old church, I think may have been built within that timeline, may be a bit older than that, but perhaps was modified to allow for more entrances / exits when people started to build up this region, as I do believe Lordran was built by giants, but also the population is made up from those who fled Ulasil, and of course those who became undead and just moved to Lordran anyway. And again, we get some dialogue relating to people coming to Lordran, fleeing from their old life thanks to the male undead merchant. He says that where he comes from, people used to chuck stones at him due to his condition, due to his curse. And yeah, his life has somewhat improved before it all went to shit, that is, when he moved to the undead burg. You know, before the goat demon and the bull demon and the drake moved in. Like, I believe he was a resident before the undead burg came to be in the condition that we know it as today. But yeah, so like the Sen's Fortress, again, I believe it to be built after the events of Ulasil within the last 200 years or so. Well, yeah, 200, 300 years. Getting all this information on the timeline thanks to interviews around 2012 when the DLC was releasing. So I'm not pulling this out my arse, this is confirmed. And I did a lore video on the Knight Berenice, Black Iron Tarkus and the Night King Rendell, and due to the Boulder Knights, and what I believe is Night King Rendell to be found in Sen's Fortress. I of course explored Sen's Fortress and its history, its purpose, its prior purpose, and its creation. And this links in with the Firstborn Son, because in the Firstborn's room in Anor Londo, if you believe it to be, you can see a painting of Sen's Fortress. And Sen's Fortress was built, and we know this, or we can speculate this thanks to the rusted armour of the Silver Knights. It was built to train would-be Silver Knights after Ulasil had fallen. After the Colosseum collapsed and became infested. That was where, thanks to the purple coward's crystal, we know that, and the gazebos of course that can be accessed in multiplayer, we know that to be the place where Silver Knights were trained. So once that fell, of course, Silver Knights were still needed, so this was built. But then the agenda changed and it became a place of fun and excitement. So yeah, I went on a massive tangent there about Andre, so I hope that I hope that answered half of your question. And on the subject of Night King Rendell, the Ring of Steel protection, I believe actually has a missing gemstone due to the, let's just say, decorated indent that can be found in it. It looks to me like there was supposed to be a shaped gemstone socketed within that ring, but of course it's fallen out, because to me, if you look at the images of the Ring of Steel protection, if you want to do this in an alternative tab, there looks like to be two clips that would have, of course, held in this gemstone, like you would come to expect, because there's clips found on the Ring of Sacrifice. You see this? There's 4 clips on the side to hold in this non-existent gem that has fallen out. The same is seen on the Ring of Steel protection, except for one clip is actually broken, snapped in half. You can still see where it would have been, because half of it's still there, but it does not protrude as its counterpart. So barcode, go ahead, hit me with your DS3 question. Pull a bite, a Knight of Berenice, Mr. Big Boy. You can parry these fellas, although you can't repost them. They are pretty weak to fire. He doesn't not know what he's doing most of the time. And yeah, just be careful. We'll try and heal now. There you go. That's what we need. That's what we came for. They can drop the Great Axe. So although we don't see Knights of Berenice wield the Great Axe, I do believe it to originate from where the Berenices come from, because they are Knights of Berenice. And in that lore video, I'm going to spoil it. Alex has linked it, so thank you, Alex. But I believe, due to what I present, that the Knights of Berenice come from Boulder. And Black Iron Tarkus 2 comes from Boulder. So yeah, you're going to have to watch that lore videos for yourselves.
Well,
You seem to be doing alright.
don't get yourself killed. Neither of us want.
So I'll read out your question, Barco, just for the VOD's sake. So in DS3, there's the Lloyd Shield Ring and the Lloyd Sword Ring, and the Lloyd character is All-Father Lloyd, but who exactly was he, and what happened to him? Now, I'm going to give you the basic rundown, because there's a video that perfectly presents a theory on Lloyd and his connections, and the religion revolved around him, and those who know, hold your tongues. All-Father Lloyd in Dark Souls 2 is said to be a fraud, I think, in Dark Souls 2, if not Dark Souls 3 as well. He represents the old religion by the time Dark Souls 3 exists. All-Father Lloyd, he is a power that is not found within Lordran. He's an external power, presumably Thorolund, or Sorolund, however you say it in Japanese. I can't remember how it's said. Referencing that video that I'm yet to mention. Hawkshaw also did a video on this, presenting who he believes All-Father Lloyd is, I think. And I think that was mentioned in his Way of the White lore video. But the lore video which you need to watch, and Alex, you can link it now, if you've already got it open, is by a fellow member of the RT, Yoshimitsu. Now Yoshimitsu, can't even barely say his name most of the time. He's Canadian Japanese. He translates the Japanese to English and takes whatever the Japanese is over the English Frog Nation translation. So because of that, he's making lore revelations these 10, 11 years later. Some of the best lore content that I've watched in years is coming from his channel because of what he's bringing to light. And recently he did a lore video on All-Father Lloyd and who he believes him to be. So Alex, if you're not already on it, please mate, could you link that for those in chat, and Barcode, if you could watch that and subscribe to Yoshi, I'd appreciate it. He'd appreciate it. He deserves more subs. Criminally underrated is that man. But yeah, so what do I need to do now? We need to go back to Lower Undead Berg. We don't need to defeat the gargoyles, pardon me, because there's no real point in doing so. We've already got the key. We can go and open. We may as well activate the shortcut. I'll also show you guys something interesting. So let's... You little shit. And it's Halbervid. Yeah. Right, so watch this. Watch this, guys. So you take this individual, and because of how the map works and how spawn points, watch this. You're gonna you're going to witness some magic. Oh no, we may have killed him. We killed him. Shit. Okay, never mind. I'm going to reset it. I really didn't want to do that. I'm going to unequip the axe. I wanted to kick him. I backstabbed him instead. Again, still not doing the thing I set out to do. I.e., go to the lower undead burg, kill Capra, go to the depths, get Laurentius. I do love this church. I think it's an excellent level. Right. I'm going to save my speculation on that tower and its condition for another time. But again, everything's purposeful. This area is, as I said, only around 200 years old. So for a tower to be in that condition, and for the area, see that bridge? Look, ruined, split in half. Something big happened to cause that amount of damage. What was it? I wonder. Something that isn't told to us in game. It's left to us to theorise thanks to environmental storytelling. And on that note, the old church actually has a big crack and it's caving in that first room with the altar. Right, so if you would please come here, sir. Yeah, roll catch me, that's fine. Watch this. He's gone. Where's he gone? It's magic. It's a can of man. He's back again. Look. Should start charging people for this. £5 entry. The magic man. Do you want to do it again? Look, he's not too keen on it. Hey! He's gone. Barcode, thank you very much for the follow, mate.
Where's Rachel? Where is she?
What's in the box? What's in the box? Excellent film. Excellent film. That location has been used in music videos, other films. Popular location for shooting. Shooting a film, that is. Not a gun. I know what you Yanks are like. I'd rate this as probably still the quickest way. Because we won't trigger... Or no, maybe we will. No, you won't. We won't. What's in the box? Love this elevator. Again, in the original, these weren't 3D chains. They were just 2D textures in a cross-like section. A mad lad from Florida. Even worse. Even worse. Ow, my elbow. How dare you. But yeah, look at the state of this bridge. I wonder what caused it. What could it be? Am I being chased? Got a skedaddle. Did he drop anything? He did. Yeah, little... And look, big damage. Big damage to the gate. You see that? Huge chunk. God, why am I... I know why I'm doing it, because I can't fucking say words, but huge chunk. Look at that. Look at the damage. When the gate is lifted, you actually see that it damaged the gate as well. So when whatever impacted this, the gate was up, not down. So, big damage. Tower with a roof missing and slightly tilted. What do you think could have caused this? well, relatively close, we know that there's a huge creature known as Hellkite Drake. To me, it makes sense for him to be the one to cause this damage. If I was a dragon, I'd probably perch on this wall when it was fully formed too, and I bet he took most of it with him. You know, there's no also Masonic imagery there, look. From Software, part of the cult. There's no, what am I looking for? Weapons to do with the siege. No Trojans, no trebuchets, you know what I mean? There's nothing that could have caused this, if not something that can fly. Like a dragon. Or a drake. So again, Hellkite Drake, I've always believed, did this damage. Because look at the roof. The roof is missing. It's been shaved off. Now where's the rubble, you might ask? That's another theory, but still. Perhaps the falling rubble from this roof came down and caused this damage. Maybe. There's also, if you look over there, look at that. Ruined. Just given way. I believe a wall used to be all around there, and it was very much boxed in. Kind of a balcony. But that's also gone as well. So something destroyed that. There's signs of damage all over, and people just run past it, don't give it any two mind. But you got to think, like, why did it happen? But the game doesn't tell you this, it just lets you decide, and I like it to be that. Lena, thank you very much. Pog in the chat for Lena with the raid of 6. Thank you very much. Again, I always say it, but if you would please check out Lena's Twitch channel. She streams many things. I think she was streaming Outer Wilds tonight. I did pop in and say hello. So Lena, thank you very much. I always appreciate it. And welcome to those who've come in. Talking about Dark Souls, its lore, specifically Pyromancers, because I'm making a lore video on Pyromancers and their pyromancy from the perspective of Dark Souls 1. This isn't my first rodeo for a lore video, and I've already covered a lore video relating to pyromancy, but more so on Izalith. So if you are familiar with my channel, please go check that out, as some of the stuff mentioned in this new lore video will be referring back to what I said there. But yeah, welcome all. So, making our way back, well, making our way down to the lower undead burg, because we need to defeat Capra to open the depths. That's what we need to do. Let me sit at this actually. Do you have rodeos in England? No, we just have roundabouts. I know the concept of a roundabout is somewhat alien to those overseas. Oh, the double. Oh no. Okay, no, he does spawn here. I forget myself. We also got another liquid humanity, so that's fine. We will be able to survive this if we get breathed on. There you go. Sorted. Beautiful backshot. Roundabouts don't even exist in some places. America, it's quite rare for a roundabout to exist, although I have seen them in Florida when I visited. A very small roundabout, a pathetic, what I call a pathetic roundabout. But yeah, because, you know, America's a big place. You can go in straight lines or, you know, left or right turns. You don't really need a roundabout. They have become more popular around my area, but for a long time there were no roundabouts. They don't have kettle. That's it, Lena. They boil their water in the microwave. Savages. Madness. Too many insight. But yeah, I love this area. We spoke about it before. I am now going to try and push on to Laurentius, because we are trying to focus on Pyromancy here. Can't help myself though and talk about everything else related to this game, because it is my favourite game. These fellas just block. Get them on the rebound. Don't try and beat them to the punch, because they're dogs, they will stag you. We did buy the residence key because Griggs is a G, although we're not focusing on Venheim. Sorcerer, Shadow Garb set, Black set, students of a certain surreptitious sorcerer, perhaps sent on a secret mission. Corpse of another sorcerer in a barrel. Griggs, interesting character. Discussions for another day, and discussions I've already had, actually. Not today. Oh, come on. No! Tried to roll away. Ran out of stamina, hit the door. Pathetic. Now, if they start throwing knives, what you can do is just come back behind here. When a knife contacts that, it will break. So just be careful, it's your one-time shield. We'll double check if any of them dropped their cool gear. That's the mail breaker there, the worst item in the game. It's a paperweight new game cycle counter. Let's keep going. We'll push for the shortcut, and then we'll come back from Firelink, face Capra. So it's always interesting to see that the fog wall isn't up until you kind of touch the grass, really. But Capra hasn't spawned either, so pretty cool though. See when it does spawn? No. Shit, quick. There we go. I've got projectiles too, gents. Not a single drop to be expected. So I imagine somewhere you've already mentioned pyros are called shamans in Japanese. Oh, is that right? In reference to this game, they're called shamans instead of pyromancers. If so, that is very interesting. We talked kind of about along the lines of witchcraft and shamans in relation to the Latin translation of Carmina, which again, thanks to Alex, means songs. And again, witches, songs, dancing around fire. We kind of went on that tangent about 2 hours ago, so I won't do it again, but interesting. Right, press on. Yes, and this set looks like Shaman set from Demon Souls. It does, actually. That's a good point. Right, well, thank you for that. Thank you for that. That's something I will consider. I definitely do want to start involving the translations of the Japanese into my lore videos. Especially when dealing with the older games, you know, because like people believe it's pretty much figured out, so going to the source can often give good alternative perspectives, and I've got the connections now for those translations thanks to fellow members of the round table, so like Last Protagonist, Yoshimitsu. Yoshi collab someday. I'd love that, honestly. I've not proposed it to him because I know he has his different projects, but definitely I'll just decide what that should be as a subject. Maybe New Londo, honestly, as New Londo is got many fingers in many pies. As I said, it's a city I believe to be related to Velka, and for those who've watched my An Undead Pilgrimage, my Dark Souls 1 lore through, you'll know some of the findings we discovered. And again, I've never seen, not blowing my own trumpet, but I've never seen anyone mention this, that there's certain swords relating to the painting of Ariamis and the Dark Race that have identical movesets. And of course there's statues in both the painting and New Londo that are seen and are identical, that being the woman and the child, although the child isn't seen in New Londo, it's just the woman and no child. But yeah, we're going to leave it there because that's a different tangent, and again I'm trying to stick to Pyromancers here because it's already nearly 11:15 and I do want to free Laurentius at some point. Bloody walls. No, I did it again. Do not turn your back to them. Not even rolling away. He says while leaving his back wide open. Double. I can't see flame while I'm trying to conjure flame. There we go. Sorted. Not a single drop. I tried many times, but I never managed to save Solaire. You will do one day. All I'll say is poison mist and the block door. If you don't want to spend 30 humanity via the Servants of Chaos Covenant, you can just get poison mist. You still never saved Solaire either, Alex. Honestly, when that was discovered, like, incredible. Like, Ash Lake, saving Solaire, Dark and Orlando. Just absolutely incredible. And I'm so happy that they took similar risks in Elden Ring with the hiding and obscuring of locations. Like the Eternal Cities and just how you access them in the different ways. I just love it. That they've still got the balls to do that. For players to completely miss content on their playthroughs. But what made it extra special was Dark Souls was released in the time where the internet, of course, wasn't what it is today. So games weren't spoiled before they even released, or within the first day of release. There was still a lot of mystery, and people only really communicated on forums. It wasn't, you know, Facebook pages and Twitter pages and whatever else, and video guides, and, you know, it wasn't, the internet wasn't to that degree just yet. So a book which I always recommend and forever will is You Died, written by Jason Killingsworth and Keza MacDonald. And for those who haven't still yet read it, you have to get a window into the past of Dark Souls and how it was, what it was like for the reviewers of the time, all communicating via one email chain, you know, with the internet not being what it is today, as I just explained, and them just going through Lordran and just being like, what the hell is going on? The community in the early days, again, when Dark Souls wasn't what it is. Dark Souls didn't carry the weight as what it does now, when it's still niche, relatively niche. A little hidden gem. So yeah, it may, if you're from that time, it will take you down a memory lane, and if you're not, it will give you a good window into that past and appreciate where the game came from and what the community was like back in the day. I know creators who release boss racking vids without including Plasty, whatever his abbreviation of his name is. That's really funny. Can't wait to face him and form my own opinion. Let's just say that. Elden Ring gives me zero motivation for another playthrough. I completely feel that, Dirk. That's not an uncommon opinion. Obviously mine's a bit of a special case because I've still not completed the game due to the lore through that I'm doing. So it's much more of a prolonged playthrough anyway. But, you know, fellow creators have also voiced their opinion of, by their second playthrough, they lost all motivation. And it was only because on their second character that they wanted to partake in PvP that they actually kept playing. You know, they tried to boot up a third character, and I've felt it too while creating alternative characters just for footage, or I don't know, just to play the game in my own time. As soon as I leave Limgrave is that point where it's like a make or break it. because I do like to do everything. But as soon as I leave there and experience the best legacy dungeon that is Stormvale, all my motivation just goes, because I know what's ahead of me then. It's the problem I have with The Witcher 3. I love The Witcher 3. That's why the channel's named Eredin. That's why I love The Witcher. The Witcher 2 is what I started on, and as I said, some days I prefer it to The Witcher 3 because both offer different things. The Witcher 1 again I love for its ambience. It's very heavy. The music, oh, Rivers of Life, that track, incredible, very moving. But yeah, I can't play The Witcher 3 again probably for another year, because as soon as I boot it up I just remember everything. I think that's what Elden Ring will also suffer from, is, I don't know, definitely has less replay value in my eyes because it's a bigger game. Like, there's just more time commitment. You know, you can get Dark Souls done in 20-25 hours on like a semi-serious playthrough. You know, you keep playing, you can get this game done in 15 hours. There was a time where all I did was play Bloodborne, surprise surprise, and I completed it in 7 hours. I didn't even want to. I just played it that day, and I just got into a rhythm, and 7 hours went by, and the credits rolled, and I was like, what? Couldn't believe it. And that's the beauty of the old games, is you can make them as long or as short as you want. Elden Ring, you can make it as long or as long as you want. Even if you only have to kill 2 shard bearers, it's still a pretty long game in my eyes. Right, again I had an objective, i.e. Laurentius, and we've gone on a massive tangent again, so let's get him. Oh, give over. Tickled me. Tell you what, the stamina, not forgiving. Disco Stew. There he is. Come on, humanity. Oh, you stingy. Stingy rat. So yeah, let's see how many times Capra kills me, because we're not going to use the dung pile tactic. I've only used that a couple times. Get these twins. Again, I've always wanted to just go down here. Oh, it's not a twin humanity, is it? It's a Soul of Lost Undead. I'm thinking of the one in the Lower Undead Burg that we didn't pick up. But yeah, I've always wanted just to explore the outer walls. This place, this liminal space. If you've seen the movie Labyrinth, I imagine if we walked down there, the game would become Labyrinth. You know, there'd be a snail in the wall, he'd invite us to our home, we get easily lost. I don't know, very Labyrinth vibe. Don't come at me with that bollocks. Partial. God, the axe is really short-ranged. Right, gotta deal with the dags. You like dogs? Fucking hate dogs. Horrible, horrible enemy. Right. Let's get this going. Let's die instantly. Dogs! You fucking tit. Oh god, I hate them. I hate them so much. I despise dogs in these games. They are the most annoying enemy. Fuck me. Zero tolerance for it. I hate them. I hate them. I'll always hate them. Come on, Stu. There, he's gone. So yeah, that was pretty lucky on that run back. And yeah, that health bar you saw flash up is from the archer. Sometimes it does that when the map piece loads in. But yeah, that was pretty lucky to go through there unscathed then. Usually you would get caught or nicked by a firebomb. But I suppose the game's going easy on me somewhat. The only problem is you have to contend with this constantly, but you can do this. Let's deal with the dogs. It's just the unlimited stun that can happen. Enemies falling on your head has always annoyed me in this game. Well, in these games, because it still happens with Elden Ring. You just get stunned. And not the good kind either. Not the kind where you don't receive damage. I won't even bother buffing the weapon now. Oh. You damn rat! Move! Using fire on a chaos demon. Was it worth it? Was it worth it? Just let me heal. Oh god. Fine. I don't like overusing the stairs, but they put it in for a reason. If you don't use them, the fight is just painful. Nintendo. Don't, yeah, just kick him. Just kick him. That's fine. Oh, nice one. Shouldn't have done that. That's fine. Oh, the arena is the boss, not the enemy. 3? No. You can stagger Capra, but I think we're past that point. Oh, there you go. We did it! There we go. Jesus. By gum. By gum. Painful. Absolute painful. The dogs, of course, make it 10 times worse. Hit stun after hit stun. And then you get a big cleaver up the rear. Come on, speed. I'm going to die by a hollow. Oh, God. There's something... I don't know what it is. Maybe it's because I don't lock on. And enemies can work their way around my shield. But I've seen this happen in Dark Souls 3. It may... I don't know. I don't want to blame my controller all the time. But those who know the Nintendo know of my pain. Really? Shit, quick. That's the hardest enemy in the game, that is. No, don't waste it. Torch hollows. I just want Laurentius, please. That's all I want. We've got human... Well, technically they are human bones. But, bones of the undead. Shit. This is why consumables are terrible in the earlier games. Because they're very slow. No! Oh, you jammy git. So the hitbox lingers all the way to the end of the animation then. Right. Yep. Yep. Disco stew. Oh, we didn't do it. Of course you didn't do it. Of course you didn't do it. You're feeling a bit off today, mate. Sprained your ankle. All I want to do is free the nicest NPC to ever exist. I just want to hug. I want to share his flame. And then I can finish it because it's 11:30. It's a school night. People have got to go to work. So come on, Dark Souls. Cut me some slack. These bloody women butchers. And they are women. This was confirmed in a radio interview back in 2012. I've forgotten the fella who transcribed it. Was it his name Kevin or Kenneth? Whoever he was, legend. Again, this is from the time of the Xbox 360 text dumps. That was all we had on in terms of like the games files. Was that dump of unused content. Inanimate objects, biggest enemy. Yes, I love how if you parry so fast and riposte, you don't even get the sound. Silent. So lock on everything but the one I want. What are you doing, sir? Honestly, deadly, absolute deadly. They're even deadly in Elden Ring when the nobles, wandering nobles, hold the torches. Yeah, so cracked wooden shields and shields to this degree don't. When they do that combo, they don't ricochet. They'll just carry on. So be careful. Oh wow, okay. I mean that's fine. Just do your 3 hit. As long as you give me your sack. I'll have a back, sack and crack waxing, please. They're easy enough to backstab, but I mean, what isn't in Dark Souls 1? There we go, got the sack. We got the bag.
You.
You.
Yeah,
Yes, you.
You. Here, over here. Please.
Please.
You must help me.
So, be careful. Roll through the barrels. Do not attack them until you get to this little barrel, and you can see how he is held in. His arms are morphed into his body. Again, barrels being the main way to contain a body in Lordran is something to be questioned. Very unusual. But anyway, thank you for the follow. Let's just wait for the notification because I am a scrub and I don't have 2 monitors. Homebrewed, thank you very much, Homebrewed. I appreciate it because I have to wait for it to appear on my phone. Because again, I'm stingy and I've yet to get 2 monitors. It will happen by the end of this year. I will actually have a proper setup. Not just the one monitor man. I'm the monitor man and I come from far away.
Oh, there you are. You must help me. Or else she'll have me for lunch.
You'll have me for lunch.
You my only.
Obi-Wan.
Please.
I think that's repeated until...
Oh, you must. She'll have you my only.
Right, we're going to try and be cool. Hang on. There we go. Boom.
Thank you.
And his pyromancy
I would've
flame
been supper without you.
alights.
Been eaten alive. I shudder to think. Thank you.
Thank you, dearly.
Thank you dearly. I am Laurentius.
Of the great swamp.
Of the great swamp. I will not forget my debt to you.
Oh, I love him so much.
Oh, hello there. I'm fine, thanks to you.
So yeah, Laurentius, he's bugged. Like, he's always been like this, but the way in which you interact with him after freeing him,
Oh, hello there. I'm fine, thanks to you.
I don't know. I just feel like there should have been more. I can't remember if he has dialogue when returning to Firelink, which sounds like should have been mentioned in the depths. Maybe I'm thinking of a different character that has something to that effect, where they have dialogue after moving, which sounds like they should have mentioned it when you first found them. I don't know.
Oh, hello there. I'm fine.
It's like, thank you for saving me. I owe you one. I'm fine, thanks to you. You know, there's no like, I'll see you back at Firelink Shrine. It's just that. I think if you reload, he should move, because every time you log in and out, time advances. So be wary of that if you're trying to do an NPC quest. Don't just keep logging in and out, because you may progress their quests to a point which you didn't actually want to. So yeah, he's gone. So now we can just homeward boner back to Firelink. And that'll be it. And then my homeboy here, cross-legged, right in the thick of it.
Well, I see you made it out. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's not Laurentius who I'm thinking out.
I have my Pyromancy.
It's the Great Swamp, so I can usually manage.
With a bit of care. Oh yeah. By the way, I can share my spells with you. I think you have a knack for it. All you need are the materials. I'll be pleased to help you. Unless you find the magic's unsavory. Yeah, wonderful. I'm sure that they'll be of some use, some assistance. Why, let's get started right now.
Of the Great Swamp. Right.
Goodbye then. Be safe,
Be safe, friend. Don't you dare go hollow. What's better? That piece of parting dialogue, or stockpile Thomas, you have a heart of gold, don't let them take it from you. I don't know. But yeah, that's where we're going to end it, guys. Because it's getting late. It's nearly into the next day. Mr. Eredin's got to go bed, as I was shattered last night for staying up too late as well, so I guess sleep is for the wicked. But yeah, I hope you did enjoy. We've achieved what I wanted to, more or less. Of course, I talked about different subjects that didn't relate to pyromancy. That's because I can't help myself, but did talk about a lot, and it's definitely helped me think before continuing with my script. So I do hope you enjoyed the return to Lordran. I certainly did. Probably be another one to follow up from this until we get to Quaylana. I'd say we didn't take the Master's Key, so we're gonna have to go the long way into Blighttown, which is fine because I love the depths. But yeah, thank you to all those who've tuned in. Thank you all those who followed. Thank you to Lena for the raid. As always, I appreciate it. So, Alex, before we depart, if you could please link the Discord for anyone who is not in it. Join the fellow Erudites. I'd appreciate it. So yeah, thank you very much for watching. And I will see you in the next one.